My sister betrayed me with my husband. My parents covered it up. But when she asked me to plan her baby shower, I exposed everything in front of 50 guests with evidence and destroyed her life forever. I'm 30 years old, work in digital marketing, and 6 months ago my life exploded in the most spectacular way possible. And no, that's not an exaggeration. Because when I say everything went to hell, I mean I literally destroyed my marriage, my relationship with my family, and my sister's life in a single day. And I'd do it again without thinking twice. But let me rewind a bit, because to understand why I did what I did, you need to know what my family was like before all this. And trust me, it's important. I grew up in Chicago, in one of those families that from the outside look perfect. You know, nice house in the suburbs. My parents had been married for like 35 years. We had family dinners every Sunday. All that shit. My sister Rebecca is 2 years older than me, and for as long as I can remember, she was always the family star. I don't know how to explain it exactly, but it was like my parents looked at her with these bright eyes full of pride, while they looked at me like, I don't, like the backup daughter or something. Rebecca was prettier, according to them. Smarter, also according to them. More charismatic. More everything. I was just Sophie, the younger sister who was there, but nobody really noticed. And look, it's not like I spent every day crying about this, but it does leave a mark on you, you know? That feeling that you're never enough, that you're always competing for attention that's never going to come. Rebecca married Ethan when I was like 26. Ethan was a great guy, worked in finance, super stable, kind, one of those who really seem like good people. My parents were ecstatic, obviously. The wedding was huge, like 200 guests. My parents paid for everything. It was like the event of the century for them. 2 years later, I married Marcus, who worked in software sales. My wedding was nice, I guess, but considerably smaller, and my parents contributed financially but not with the same enthusiasm. And yeah, I noticed, but I was already used to that kind of thing. Marcus was attractive, fun, we got along well, and I thought I finally had my own life, my own space away from Rebecca's shadow. The first years of my marriage were good, or at least that's what I thought. Marcus and I had our problems like any couple, but nothing serious, or so I thought. We both worked a lot. We mainly saw each other at nights and on weekends. We had a decent apartment in Lincoln Park. We went out with friends, went to family gatherings. Rebecca and Ethan lived like 20 minutes from us, and we saw each other often because, close family and all that. Looking back, I should have seen it, should have noticed the signs, but I was so caught up in my own bubble that I didn't pay attention to a bunch of weird things that started happening. Like, for example, Rebecca started showing up at our apartment more often. She always had some excuse. That she needed to use my computer because hers was updating. That she was in the area and wanted coffee. That she wanted to ask me about I don't know what thing. And Marcus was always like super willing to help her. Like, oh sure, Rebecca, stay as long as you need. Oh, Rebecca, let me help you with that. I thought he was just being nice. I mean, she was my sister. What was I supposed to think? I also noticed Marcus started coming home late from work more often, but he had a demanding job, so I didn't give it much importance either. And Rebecca started being more distant with Ethan, which I attributed to normal couple problems, because everyone has those rough patches, right? The truth is, I was working on a huge campaign for an important client like 8 months ago, the kind that completely consumes you, and I was so focused on that I basically wasn't paying attention to anything else. And it was during that time, in February of this year to be specific, that my whole world came crashing down, although I didn't know it immediately. It was a Friday night. I got home from work around 9 p.m. Super tired, and Marcus wasn't there, which wasn't unusual because sometimes he went out with his coworkers. I poured myself a glass of wine and sat on the couch, and then my phone rang. It was my mom calling my dad. But for some reason, the call connected to my phone instead of my dad's way, have a shared family plan, and sometimes these weird things happen with calls, and they didn't realize I could hear. And what I heard, God, what I heard left me completely frozen. My mom was telling my dad that they needed to be more careful, that Rebecca had told them Marcus almost caught them the other day when he came home early, and my dad said something like, "We have to tell Rebecca to be more discreet. We can't let Sophie find out." And my mom responded, "I know, but you know how Rebecca is. She's always done what she wants. And if Sophie finds out about this, it's going to destroy her." and I was sitting there with the phone in my hand thinking, what the fuck is going on? What are they talking about? And then my mom said, at least Marcus is being careful. He's been deleting the messages. And well, what Rebecca and he do is their problem. We just have to make sure Sophie doesn't find out. I was in absolute shock. Like, I couldn't even process what I'd just heard. My sister was having an affair with my husband, and my parents knew, and they were hiding it. I felt like someone had hit me in the stomach with a baseball bat. My hands were shaking. I couldn't breathe properly. And the only thing that kept repeating in my head was, this can't be happening. It has to be a misunderstanding. But I knew it wasn't. I knew from the way my parents were talking, so casual, so complicit, that this had been going on for a while, and everyone knew except me. I felt like the biggest idiot in the universe. I didn't cry that night, which is weird because normally I'm one of those who cries about everything, but I think I was in shock. Marcus got home around midnight, smelling like perfume that definitely wasn't mine, and I was lying in bed pretending to sleep. He got into bed and fell asleep in seconds, like nothing, and I was there awake all night thinking about what to do. Part of me wanted to confront him immediately, yell at him, throw things at him, but another part of me, the more calculating part I guess, thought, no, I need evidence. I need to be completely sure before doing anything. The next day, Saturday morning, Marcus went to the gym, or so he said, and I grabbed his laptop. I knew his password because it had never been a secret between us, or at least that's what I thought. And what I found made me feel physically sick. Emails, hundreds of emails between him and Rebecca, going back months, like from last year. And they weren't just emails of, oh, see you later. No, they were explicit, detailed, disgusting emails. Rebecca telling him how much she missed him. Marcus telling her he couldn't wait to be with her again. Photos I definitely shouldn't have seen. Plans of when and where to meet. And the worst part, the absolutely worst part, was that there were emails where they talked about me, about how I was so busy with work that I didn't even notice anything, laughing about how obvious the whole situation was. I downloaded everything, every email, every photo, every text message I could find on his phone, which I also unlocked while he was in the shower. There were messages between Marcus and my dad, where my dad was basically giving him advice on how to better hide the affair, like, be careful with credit card bills, make sure to delete messages, that kind of thing. My own father was helping my husband cheat on me with my sister. Can you believe it? The level of betrayal was so deep, I couldn't even fully comprehend it. And then, like 2 weeks after discovering all this, my mom called me. I had been avoiding my family, telling them I was super busy with work, which was partially true because I still had to finish that campaign, and my mom tells me all excited, Sophie, I have wonderful news. Rebecca is pregnant. Isn't it incredible? And I just stood there like, wow, yeah, incredible. Congratulations. While inside I was thinking, whose baby is it? Ethan's or Marcus's? My mom kept talking about how happy they were, how Rebecca had always wanted to be a mother, all that shit. And then she said, and Sophie, I wanted to ask you a favor. I know you've been busy, but it would mean so much to Rebecca if you planned her baby shower. It would be so special coming from you. And that's when the plan came to me. I don't know if it was rage, pain, or simply that I'd reached my limit, but I thought, oh yes, I'm going to plan the best baby shower this family has ever seen. I told my mom that, of course, that it would be an honor, that I'd be happy to do it. And I could hear how surprised she was because normally I'm not one to volunteer for family events. That's always been more Rebecca's style. But she was delighted, said, oh, Sophie, that's so generous of you. Rebecca is going to be so happy. I spent the next few weeks planning that baby shower like my life depended on it, and at the same time, finishing collecting all the evidence I needed. I found more things, like hotel receipts, where Marcus and Rebecca had stayed, expensive restaurant bills, more photos. I also started investigating a bit more and discovered that Rebecca had a close friend named Lisa, whose husband Ryan was super friends with Marcus. I got in touch with Lisa casually, like, oh, we should have coffee sometime. Catch up. And when we met, I started asking subtle questions about their husbands, about whether they went out together sometimes. Lisa mentioned that Ryan had been acting weird lately, coming home late, being secretive with his phone, and I could see in her eyes that she suspected something but didn't want to admit it. The baby shower was scheduled for a Saturday in May, At my parents' house, which has this huge backyard, we invited like 50 people, all the extended family, Rebecca's friends, neighbors, co-workers. I took care of everything. The decoration all pink because they were having a girl. The food, the games, everything. And I also prepared a PowerPoint presentation, supposedly to show photos of Rebecca through the years. You know, that kind of corny stuff they do at baby showers. I told my cousin Emma, who's a videographer and is always documenting family events, to make sure to record everything, especially the presentation. And I suggested that maybe she could do a Facebook live stream for family members who couldn't attend. Emma thought it was a great idea and said she would. The day of the baby shower arrived and I was surprisingly calm. Marcus was there, obviously, being the attentive and charming brother-in-law. Rebecca was radiant in her white maternity dress, getting all the attention as always. My parents were happy, serving drinks, socializing. Ethan was there too, looking uncomfortable, as he always looked at big events. Lisa and Ryan also came, and I noticed Lisa was watching Ryan and Rebecca interact, and there was something in her expression that made me think she already suspected something. We did all the typical baby shower games, opened gifts, ate cake, and then came the moment for my presentation. Everyone sat down. Emma started the live stream. There were like 80 people watching online, and I connected my laptop to the projector. I started with normal photos of Rebecca as a baby, as a child, as a teenager, and everyone was smiling and making those "aw, how cute" sounds. And then, after like 10 normal photos, the next slide was a screenshot of an email between Rebecca and Marcus, where he was telling her he couldn't stop thinking about the night before, with pretty graphic details. The silence that followed was absolute, like someone had pressed the pause button on real life. Rebecca turned white. Marcus stood up abruptly. My mom let out a gasp. And I just kept clicking, showing more emails, more text messages, photos of them together in situations that definitely weren't appropriate for a brother-in-law and sister-in-law. There were messages where Marcus told Rebecca he was going to leave me eventually, that he was just waiting for the right moment. There were photos of them in my apartment bed, my own bed, which made me want to vomit when I found them. And while all this was being projected on the giant screen, I was just standing there, watching everyone's faces. Ethan looked like he was going to faint. Literally, his face went from confusion to horror to rage in a matter of seconds. My mom started crying and screamed, "Sophie, turn that off right now." But I completely ignored her. My dad tried to approach the projector, but I told him, "You dare touch it, and I'll show the emails where you were giving Marcus advice on how to cheat on me better." And he stopped dead. The aunts had their mouths open. Rebecca's friends looked completely scandalized, and Emma kept recording everything because I told her no matter what happened, don't stop recording. But here comes the part even I didn't expect. Because in my investigation, I had found something else, but I wasn't completely sure until that moment. Turns out Rebecca hadn't just had an affair with Marcus, she'd also had an affair with Ryan, Lisa's husband, and I had found messages between them too, and I included them in the presentation. When those photos appeared, Lisa literally got up from her chair and threw her drink in Rebecca's face, screaming, "You're a lying whore. You told me nothing was happening with him." Ryan tried to run away, but Ethan grabbed him and, I'm not going to lie, I thought there was going to be a physical fight right there in my parents' backyard. Rebecca started crying hysterically, screaming that I was ruining her special day. How dare I? That this was cruel. And I finally spoke. I said, "Cruel? Cruel is exposing the truth? Because what's cruel is fucking your cumber and sister's husband for months, in her own bed, while your parents cover for you. What's cruel is laughing at me behind my back, calling me obvious and an idiot. What's cruel is that all of you, including my own parents, looked me in the face every Sunday at family dinner, knowing what was happening and not telling me anything." And then I looked directly at Rebecca and said, "And by the way, whose baby is it? Ethan's? Marcus's? Or Ryan's?" The place exploded. Everyone started talking at the same time, yelling, crying. Ethan yelled at Rebecca, "What the fuck is she talking about? Is it my baby or not?" And Rebecca couldn't even speak, just sobbed. Marcus tried to approach me, but I backed away and told him, "Don't touch me. Never touch me again." My mom was yelling at me that I was a horrible person. How could I do this to my sister? And I laughed, like a bitter laugh, and told her, "Are you serious right now? I'm the horrible one? You two knew. You both knew and you let me live in the lie. You let me make a fool of myself. My dad tried to say something about how they were just trying to protect the family, and I told him, "Protect Rebecca? You mean because I've never really mattered to you, right?" I grabbed my things and got out of there, and Emma followed me still with the camera because she's a professional like that. And before leaving, I told the camera, "And for everyone watching this online, this is my family. This is the family that always seemed so perfect from the outside. But this is the truth." And I left. What happened next was like watching a domino effect in slow motion. Ethan told Rebecca to leave his house that same night, literally threw her stuff at the entrance. Lisa did the same with Ryan. Rebecca had nowhere to go but our parents' house, and that's where she stayed. Ethan filed for divorce immediately and demanded a paternity test. I also filed for divorce from Marcus like 3 days after the baby shower. The paternity test revealed the baby was Ryan's, not Ethan's, which somehow made everything even worse. Marcus tried to contact me several times, sending me messages about how sorry he was, that it had been a mistake, that he loved me, all that garbage cheaters say when they get caught. I blocked him from everything. My parents also tried to call me, my mom crying saying we needed to talk, that family was important, that I had to forgive. I told them that to me they were no longer my family, that they had chosen to protect Rebecca over protecting me, and that decision had consequences. The baby shower video went viral in our community, like, everyone in Chicago seemed to have seen it. Emma had uploaded it completely to Facebook before anyone could stop her, and it was shared thousands of times. Rebecca became the laughingstock of the neighborhood, of her job, everywhere. Marcus lost several clients because apparently his reputation went to hell when people found out. Ryan, too, because turns out having an affair and getting your friend's wife's sister pregnant isn't exactly good for your professional image. Rebecca had the baby in September. A girl. Ryan didn't want anything to do with her. Signed away his parental rights. Marcus didn't want to know anything either, because obviously she wasn't his daughter. Lisa divorced Ryan and, from what I heard, moved to another state with her own kids. Ethan finalized his divorce and also left Illinois, I think to Colorado or something, to start over away from all this mess. I finalized my divorce like 2 months ago. I didn't ask for anything from Marcus. I just wanted to be free of him. I moved to a new apartment in a different area of the city, changed my number, blocked all my family on social media. I've been going to therapy, which helps, I guess. Some days are better than others. My aunts and cousins have contacted me, some supporting me, others criticizing me for the way I handled things, saying I could have done it privately. And the truth is, I don't regret one bit how I did it, because public humiliation was exactly what Rebecca deserved after everything. Rebecca is still living with my parents with her baby, no job. She got fired, no partner, completely alone. My parents are stuck taking care of their adult daughter and granddaughter, and according to my cousin, Emma, who still talks to me, my mom complains constantly about how hard everything is, but well, they chose that path when they decided to protect Rebecca instead of telling me the truth. Marcus lives alone somewhere, lost a ton of weight from stress from what I heard, and is trying to rebuild his life, but his reputation is completely ruined in our social circles. I still get occasional messages from my mom, saying Rebecca is depressed, that she needs her family, that I should consider forgiving. And every time I read those messages, I laugh. Because, forgive what exactly? Forgive that she slept with my husband? Forgive that my parents knew and hid it? Forgive years of being the second choice in my own family? No, I don't think I'm going to do that. Like a week ago, my cousin Emma sent me a message saying, "The baby shower video now has over 200,000 views because someone uploaded it to TikTok and it went viral again," with comments from people all over the world reacting to the exposure. Part of me feels weird about that, but another part thinks good. Let everyone see what kind of people my sister and my family are. Sometimes I think maybe I went too far, that maybe I should have handled it differently. But then I remember those emails, those photos, the way they laughed at me, and that doubt disappears. I did what I had to do to reclaim some power in a situation where everyone had taken it from me, and if that makes me the villain of the story for some people, so be it. At least now I'm living in truth, not in a carefully constructed lie by people who were supposed to love me.